previously on COMP123, right? Sorry, I should start like that, right? With the movies, right? No, it's COMP123. It's week 13, lesson 13, part 2. And we left off talking about this assignment, which I want to help you guys with, because I know it looks easy, but you know what? The devil's always in the details, I always say, right? Which is maybe a bad thing. Maybe I should say God is in the details. However you like it, it's up to you. But at the end of the day, this is where we want to find out the way of doing this. And certainly I could go back and hand bomb every one of these items, right? Like this would work, right? Because then I would have values for everything. And then once I initialize my movie array one time, it's done. And then I could always, when I select it, you know, I could do this. But there is a better construct. First of all, I don't want to hard code my movie array in here like this. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to lists. Lists are simple collections, right? It's a type of collection. Hey, collection, I've been seeing that word around. Where the hell is that thing? Well, you know, this is a list already, right? If you look at this, the properties of this thing, and if I go down here, it says it's an items collection, right? Here's my items collection. Right now it has a few items, right? This is a collection. Well, this is a list, really is what it is, right? It's already a list that's using right here. So how do I create my own custom list? Well, if you don't know how to do it, again, and you know there's a list construct, so you can say C# lists example, sure, right? And let's pick one. I'm just going to pick any one of these. MSD, here's MSDN, that's a good one to start off. System collections generic, it's a type of generic collection. And it shows me my list class. And if you notice, there's this like list T class. That's what it looks like, right? Well, how do I do this thing? How do I list this thing? Well, this is a generic, the way it looks like. List T, you know, as an example. How do I use lists in C#? Let's take a look. C# list examples. I like this. Here's my list, and if you notice the square bracket, the less than and greater than sign, and then inside there is the type, right? I need to use the word list, capital L. The type is in the middle. The name of my list. This is a great sum. And then I have to instantiate my list like we normally do. So let's do that. So let's change our object from an array, which looks like this format, to a list. Okay, so that's how we do that. So I'm going to kind of, I'm just going to comment this one out so you can see what it looks like. We'll make it still public for now, right? And we'll make it so it's called movies so that this other thing down here doesn't have to work. Because by the way, arrays and lists work very similarly. Actually, you can access a list just like this too if you really wanted to, right? 0, 1, whatever. You can do that. Okay, but now we need to use the word list. Okay, so if I was going to do the list, and it's not uncomment here, I need to use the keyword list less than the type. Well, we know the type. The type is movie. It's a movie list. We made our own custom class, right? And we're going to name the list. What kind of list is it? It's movies list, right? And we're going to make this a new list, right, of movies. We're instantiating the array. No, the list. Okay, cool. Is this everything we need? How come I'm getting that error? Is it just, it says, hey, a new expression requires da-da-da, la-la-la. Oh, yeah. Don't I have to add this in there? I do. Okay, well, guess what? This works. Look at this one down here. This okay. It's okay with this. But a list have different properties. You don't have to do it like this. In fact, where it says new blah, 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 you can just do something like this. Movies.add, right? Movies.add, and in brackets, it's the add method. I don't have to do an assignment anymore. I can just do one of these. So I add into the array. I don't know how big my movie array is going to get, but I know I can do this. New movie, Season of the Witch, sci-fi, blah, 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 right? And that's going to add into my array. Okay, so my add method, the add method, there's a bunch of really cool methods that come with lists, right? And the add method is one of the most common and most useful ways of doing it. Well, if there's an add, there's also a remove, right? So if I go to my movies list now. Here's my movies list. And if I look at all these different ones, add, all, contains, count. Hey, count. I can count how big my list is, right? I can do insert, which is different than add. Where do you think add adds my movie to? To the end. It kind of slaps it on the end. It kind of adds on the next. That's what it does. It kind of slaps the ass. Sorry, I had to say that. Did I say that on live here? It kind of slaps it and basically says, here, let's add on an additional thing onto the end of my list. It just goes pa, right? Smack, and then it adds on another one. Every time you smack that, it adds another one, right? Bum, 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 adds another one, right? And that's what this add does. It adds it to the end, to the behind of the array, right? Can't say, or to the list, because a list is like an array, right? It has an array-like syntax. You can still do this, right, with movies. Like I said, movie 0, right, is equal to blah blah blah, whatever it's going to be, right? I could do that with movie 0. We don't know what that is, but you can still index each of the items inside of a list just like you do an array. But you have the added advantage of having additional methods that you can use as well. And you don't have to declare the size of the array or the list at the beginning. Okay, let's take a look at some more details. And again, I think I had, if I'm not wrong, I had an actual PowerPoint to show you guys, right, of this kind of stuff. So that way we wouldn't just be looking at some guy's help stuff online, right? We don't want that. And I'm not sure if I put it inside my PowerPoint in my UI supplemental or if I have it in the next one. So I'll have to look it up. Why not? Here's where we left off last time. We said I can use the items.add. Hey, wait, items.add, well, that means that this items array or items list is a list already. Well, guess what? List box. That's why it's called the list. It's a list because the items that are stored in a list box, right, are items in a list. It's a list structure. That's what it is. So that's the first thing. And I'm pretty positive I didn't add that in as a additional thing. I talked about inserting. Well, you can insert in a specific position. You can do that too. We're going to use these things. I can count the properties in a list. I can do that. I can reference the items in a collection, right, which is just the way we normally do in an array, right? Same kind of idea here. I can remove at a specific position the item and actually pops it out of the list. It doesn't exist in the list anymore, right? I could do that. I could certainly specifically take the item. I can search for a specific item in the array and pop it out in the list, right? I could also clear the whole list with the clear method, right? That's what I can do with that one for sure. And if you notice, the list and combo box events, the most common ones are selected index change, text change, enter, and leave. Those are the ones we need to know how to use. Just making sure that we talked about that already. But I do have a specific PowerPoint that I haven't loaded up yet called lists, right? Let me just make sure it's not here or lesson 13. Maybe it's on lesson 13 or lesson 14 or lesson 10. One of those. I do have them somewhere. And one day. I had them. Here it is. All right, so if I was going to introduce you to collections, again, the list generic, if you will, is the one collection that I want you to know for the end. All right. Again, we talked about what it looks like in terms of how it works. And by the way, good things that we're recording this means you can always go back and take a look at this. Right. Here's all the most common properties of the list. Add, capacity, which means that gets or sets the number of elements. So I could treat it like an array by saying, hey, let's set the capacity of the list to a number, right? So I want 50 for the capacity of the list. And if you get to the end, you can't add any more items. I can clear, I can check to see if the list contains a specific element or false otherwise. A count, the index of. I can return the index of the first occurrence of a specific value. I can search and sort the list. I can do all kinds of stuff to the list. I can remove or add and so on. Sort actually sorts the list if it's not already sorted, right? So these are all really good things of the list. And again, if I was going to give you some examples of how a list works, here's an example. I've got a list that's a string. I call it an items list, right? And here's where I create new list string with this funky syntax we used already. And if you notice, it's just like doing this piece, but we tack this piece here onto the end of this new list object. And you, of course, because we're making it, it's a list object, we have to use this open bracket, close bracket in order for us to instantiate this new items list object, right? Otherwise, it won't be instantiated properly. Then you can do the add, insert, and so on. So that's what the power of a list is. And again, there's some more examples of how you can add items to the list, right? And then you can remove at a specific index. I can remove an item from that specific index. I can pop it off, and that item doesn't exist anymore. It's really, really powerful. And it helps us, especially with if you were going to do card sorting or using cards. The easiest way to search and sort, if I was going to do like a card simulation, it'd be with a list, right? I can definitely shuffle a list, right? And I can definitely pop items out of the list so they don't exist anymore. Just like I take a card out of the deck, right? The list has the ability for me to physically remove that item so it doesn't exist anymore. So really powerful construct. That's all I really want you to know for now. But that's what a list does. So this add method is definitely the way we could add stuff in. Now, if I hand bomb things, I would have to do this 20 times, right? And for now, I'm going to let you guys do different ways. For now, I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to add these next few items. I'm only going to do it 3 times. I'm not going to add every single bloody item. You guys can do that for yourself, right? And by the way, like I said, this is not the only way. It's not the best way. You guys figure out other ways to do it. So let's add a few items. And just to make sure to see what we've added, we said Season of the Witch, the Dilemma, and the Green Hornet. Those are the first 3 items I added in. And those are the first things I'm adding in. So Season of the Witch, the Dilemma, and the Green Hornet. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing it here? Well, if I do it here, and by the way, if I go back to the assignment, sci-fi, action, and comedy, the 3 different categories, sci-fi, action, and comedy. Okay, and of course there are 3 different costs. Sci-fi is $2.99, action is also $2.99, and comedy is $1.99. So $2.99, $1.99. Okay, there we go. Gotta have that 99 cents, people, even though we don't have cents anymore in Canada. Right? Okay, cool. Well, I've done this. I've loaded up the array. I do this when the movie form gets instantiated. I load up the array. I only do it 1 time, right? Okay, cool. But I don't want to type this in again. I don't want to type these things in. I want to be able to iterate through my list and assign these items here, right? I want to assign each of these items dynamically, right? I only want to put my list together 1 time, and then when I assign these items dynamically to the list. And I only want to assign 1 part of these items dynamically, just the title, right? That's the only thing that I want in here. So how do I do that? Well, again, if I go back to movie form, and I know that this is going to happen after my movie array is initialized, I want to call another method called Initialize Movie Combo Box, or whatever it's going to be, right? Here. This is another way to do this. Movie Combo Box. You might say, hey, what if we did this on form load? Right? So we did this down here in movie form load. Yeah, we could probably do that. We could. But that means every time I load the form up, if I lose focus and bring it back, it'll do this again, right? So maybe we don't want to do that on form load. We only want to do it 1 time up here. Okay, so movie combo box. I don't have a movie combo box method. Well, I'm gonna write one. So I'm gonna go private void initialize movie combo box. Here's my method. And what do I want to do in here? I want to do this. I want to say movie combo box, right? Movie combo box dot add. I want to item dot add items. That's my array. Oh, my list dot add, and I want to add in the title of my movies, right? So I'm going to say movies, movie 0. This is my format dot title. Okay, but I don't want to do each one individually because that's just silly. I want to iterate this through an array, and I want to do it for the length or the count, if you will, how big my movies list is, right? Okay, that means what do you think the best iteration construct is? Iteration construct, other name for loop, right? 4, but that means that I have to count how big it is, right? For each is always the best. It's very close. For each is always the best way to do it. So I'm going to say for each and double, right? And it says for each movie in movies, right? That's what it says. Movie in movies. Movie lowercase m, right? By the way, how come this is giving me an issue? Initialize movie combo box. Initialize. How come? It says the name initialize movie combo box does not exist. Did I spell it wrong? I did. I did. Indeed, I did. Okay, so that's cool. So it means I want to say for every movie, lowercase m, in movies, my collection, iterate through the bloody array, right? And I want to take my movie would be the value of my movies array, right? And I want to put this value into my movie combo box. How do I do that? So let's take this, cut this out, put it here, and then go like this. It's going to be movie dot title, right? I want to take the movie title and add it, this is so beautiful, to my movie combo box. When I say beautiful as a programmer, I mean it. I mean, I look at it and I go, this is what I want to do, right? I don't want to ever type my stuff again. I want to type it here or get it here somehow, right? Through, maybe I'm going to load it in through a file. I'll leave that to you. Type it in like this, one at a time, 20 times. You know, do whatever different way you want, right? But then when I load up my combo box, it's done one time. Okay, that means that in here, I can wipe away these items in my collection. I can get rid of these items here like this, press OK. And that means when my movie, if hopefully this all works, right? Because I haven't tested any of this. When my movie array, it's not a movie array anymore. Hold on. It's a movie list, right? I'm going to refactor, rename. I'm going to call this, I like that. No, you're not. Refactor, rename. And I'm going to rename this movie array to movie list, right? Because that's what it is, movie list. I'm initialize my movie list, right? And when I do that, when I initialize my movie list, it's going to be done first. That's the first thing that's going to happen after my components are initialized on my form. I'm going to initialize my movie list, which is just a construct inside my code, right? It's a container class, a container object that's going to hold all of my movies. Here they are, right? And then I'm going to initialize my movie combo box after it's been, I have to do this after this because initialize component actually initializes puts all the components, all the controls on the form. That's what it does. That's what this initialize component method does, right? But then I want to kind of load it in. So if all this works by using this little for each method, it'll add in each of these items to the movie combo box. Let's see if it works, or if I'm going to get a big error. I do. Okay. What's my big error? What do I get? It says inconsistent accessibility. Field type system collections generic list COMP123 movie is less accessible than field COMP123 movie form movies. Okay. So my class, which is movie, is less accessible than the field COMP123 less, which we'll call this movie form movies, less accessible. And that's what's giving me this error. It's interesting, I never had that error, but what do you think it means? It means that when I go back to my Solution Explorer, I've got movie form, right? And I'm accessing this class movie. Here's my movie class, right? And here's a question for you. I'm instantiating my movie class at the top. Here's where I'm instantiating everything right here, right? this movie, it's a public movie, blah, blah. And if I go back into my movie class itself, right? My movie class, you know, again, it's part of this namespace, but I'm getting this error. Anybody have a suggestion of how I can fix it? Can you? Can you do that? Yeah, okay. Let's see if that helps. If I can now run my thing. Oh, look at that, huh? Not only does it load it up, right? But it allows me to switch between them and change all the values here. So I never ever have to type those again. If you notice, my design has nothing in it, right? But now I can add in as many as I want inside of there, right? As I go. So let's add one more to prove the point, right? If I go over here where it says Season of the Witch, The Green Hornet, The Dilemma, hey, there's Death Race 2, which is also an action movie, right? And this is where you're going to see some opportunities here to create this enum, right? Instead of, and maybe even some kind of switch statement that switches the type. I don't have to put the price here, right, or the costs, right? So movies, let's do this. Movies.add, right? New movie, this whole idea. And it says, what is it? It's called Death Race 2, right? Death Race Part 2. It's going to be an action movie, and the cost is going to be $2.99. Right? There it is. So if I've done everything correctly, and if I run this thing again, right, with Death Race 2 action, blah, 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 then Death Race 2 is the first thing, because guess what? Death Race comes before Season of the Witch in terms of, whatchamacallit, sorted order, right? And look, it automatically generates this extra little scroll bar because I know that I've got more items in my list. Again, I can select any one of these items. Okay, cool. Well, that's cool. But how then, just to finish off here, how then do I I calculate or I put in a value for my other options in my movie form? So I've got my title, and now I want to access, I'm just going to make this form a little longer, right? I want to copy and paste these items here, just copy and paste, so Control-C, Control-V, right? Here's my title, and you know what? I want to definitely put my category, so I'll kind of click on here, go to my properties, change this to category, and this makes it easier now, huh? What do you think? And my name of my label is going to be, guess what? Category label. Category label. I can call it movie category label, which is probably the right thing to do. Movie category label. And this should be my movie category text box. Big, long name, right? Movie category text box. Why? Definitely nothing else is going to be like it in my entire application, right? Title, category, and I also want this other piece that's the movie category cost, right? That's the next one. So let's take that and copy and paste that in there as well. Right, here it is. And we're going to say, I'm just going to make them all the same, right? For now, you could resize these to make sense of it all. So movie category, this is movie cost label. That's what this thing is. Movie cost label. Cool. And down here, it's going to be called costs. And down here is going to be movie cost text box. Issues. I see issues already, right? Okay, cool. So that's cool. I want to, when the my movie combo box selected index changed, not only do I want to change my selected item into my movie title text box, but I also want to have my movie category text box dot text. I want to have that equal to the movie not movie combo box selected item dot string. This is, by the way, this is wrong too, eh? Should I really do this? Well, this is where I have issues, right? Do I really want this to happen, or do I want my movies list to load in here. That's probably more accurate of what I want. And I want to know because whatever the item is in my movie list, I want to be able to search it up and get that index and put it in here. Well, I have that information here. If you look at my PowerPoint presentation, not for collections, but for this stuff here, right? I can certainly do, here's where my selected index property, I can I've talked about selected and adding methods here. This, by the way, this PowerPoint should be up already for you. But what I want to do is I want to say, let me find the right one. If I want to search through the collection, right, I can remove a specific one, right? Here's a clearing one. How do I find an item and I want to get that item's a property? I want to search through. I kind of had that in the list, didn't I? Let me go back to this list collection thing. Here's my list collection, and let's go back to this big long list. Contains, right? Or index of is probably what I need. I need the index of the value in the list. That's what I want to take, the index of that item, because I can search through, right? And I want to use that index to index the other items in my list. So let's check that out. So we'll say this. We'll say movie text is this, right? But instead of doing this toString method, I want to say movies dot index of, right? And it's going to be movie text box, title text box. Oh no, sorry, or is it the movie combo box? Movie combo box dot items dot. How did I do it before? Do you remember? Ravina? Undo, 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 undo. I can always do this later. Hold on. There it is. Selected item, toString, is I still need this, but I want to use this whole thing, and I might as well make a variable so I don't kill it all the time, right? I can say, I can create an index, and the index will be an integer, right? So I'll say movie index is equal to movies index, or not movies index of. Yeah. Movies index of. Movies index of all this. So we'll test it first by doing this, right? So we'll say, well, that didn't work. Movies index of movie combo box selects that I'm, oh, I don't have to toString. Can't be selected index because selected index movies is a list. Or could I just do movies, because I don't care about the list. I can say, remember we did that whole thing again. I could say movie index is movie combo box. So we already have, we're going to use our form a little bit. Movie combo box, right? Dot selected index, right? Wouldn't that be the right thing to do? Yeah, man. Now that we have our movie index, whatever that is, right? I can use that to access the, I'm going to still need the toString property, the movie index, right? Title of my object, right? Now it says movie index. I spelled wrong, of course, because I'm just, my finger typing problems are just immense today, right? There we go. So if I can do this, right, then I should be able to do the same thing with the rest. So I'm going to kind of copy this, and instead of the title, I don't want a title, I want my category, right, because that's my class. And now for my movie, instead of my movie category, my movie cost, text box dot text, this is where I have to convert, right, is equal to my movies. Let's try this out again. Let's kind of control paste. I'll make it cost, right? And it's going to give me an error because I got to go toString. because I got to convert, because cost is actually a double, right, if I want to do conversion. Make sense? So I've decided, I said, let's make this local integer called movie index, right? And now what I'm doing is my movie combo box selected index is the index. So whatever I'm pointing to, my index changes. And then what I'm saying is take that index, the number 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever it's going to be, and access that item in the list. Because the list, my list, and the list that I'm seeing should be identical. Is it right? Actually, it's wrong. We'll see that in a second. Let's take a look and see that, how it works. So death race, hey, how come I'm seeing Season of the Witch? But we're almost there, right? The reason why it's this way, it's not a sorted order, right? And I can do that, I can fix that, of course, by going like this. I can say movies.sort, right? And when I do that, now my movies, the actual, I can add any items I want to it in any order I want. It'll sort everything because that's what my text box does, my combo box. It does the sorting for me, and now it'll be correct. Let's take a look. All right. Again, this is like some highfalutin stuff that we're doing in 2 seconds, but just follow me here. Oh, man. Movies.sort doesn't work. It says an unhandled exception of type system that invalid operation occurred in this thing. How do I sort? How come? How come it's not working? How come? Any ideas? What was that? Assign it. Oh, what sort do you mean? So I don't have a sort. It says, well, here's the options. My list movie.sort sorts the elements in the entire system collection list using the default comparer. Okay. I could do that. It says void list movie sort comparison, my movie comparison, whatever my comparison is. I don't have a comparer, right? And I have my void list movie sort comparer, which I haven't made a comparer for it yet. We're getting into some complicated stuff. It also says list movies. It says index, account, and using an iComparer property. Or I can just do this, right? Well, here's the problem with this sort method. If I use this sort method, movies, it doesn't know what to sort. What am I sorting, right? I need to understand what. Like, is I'm sorting by title? So I got to kind of put in there what I'm sorting in there. So how can I indicate which part of my list that I'm sorting? Now, it's a list, so it's my movies list, right? Okay. So can I put in, like, title? Movies.title? I can't. How do I sort by title? That's the question. So that's an issue. That's an issue right off, right? Because my list is going to be generated randomly, and I don't know the item of my list. So this is cool for what I'm doing, but what I need to do is actually put in, find the index of this selected index item, whatever it's going to be. This is nice for doing this really, really quickly. I need to do this, but I need to be able to go find the index of the title that I'm looking at, right? Which is this title. I need to find that list, the index of that from what I'm getting. So how do I do that? So I know that this index of stuff is what I find. I want to find the index of my movie title, right? But how do I do it for just, because remember, my list isn't just a list of strings. It's a list of movies.
But first we can store the name of the title in a string variable, and then we can say documents.
I can store the name of the title in a string. I'm going to create additional constructs, right? So definitely an issue here in terms of how we store things. Okay, the other object is if we weren't going to make this a sorted list, this would work perfectly. Watch. So if I want you guys to think about this. So if I say sorted is equal to false, just for a second. By the way, sorted is equal to true is a requirement of your list. But if I say sorted is equal to false, right? And if I go back to this movie form, right? And I don't have to sort. If I Control S to save and run this thing, then I'm good to go. Season of the Witch, I get sci-fi in 299, Dilemma, Action in 299, The Green Hornet, comedy and 199, it all works. If I don't sort everything, but I need to sort it. So we're going to get back to this next day. We don't have time to address it today. Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to save this thing. I'm going to go to Team Explorer right now, finally putting up on GitHub. So I didn't do it all the time. The whole class I didn't do it. But I'll do it at the end, right? So we're going to go into create a new thing, new repository. And I'll call this thing, of course, for those people who are watching, 123 Lesson 13, Part 1, right, which will create a nice little repository for us. And I'm going to go, of course, back into here, into Team Explorer, go to Changes. I'm going to say created VS C# Windows Forms project. And make sure that I don't have any untracked files. I don't want that. And click Commits. And then go to Home, unsync commits, and drop this in and sync it. So you guys have everything here for now. And we can probably leave it as is for now. We have a solution, not the most elegant solution. How do we fix this? But we'll do that tomorrow.